Do you believe that the North Pole, where Santa Claus lives, is an interdimensional portalway?
Look, some people say that's the inner Earth. I don't know.
And is the entrance to inner Earth and another dimensional experience?
Could be. It's been hard for people to get there. It might be in the
But I
putting
mean,
the pieces together.
welcome to Call for the Truth. I am LaOta of the Sun, and this is Tarvars of the Sun, and we welcome you here today to join our discussion. I think we're talking about off-world beings, aliens, things like that today.
Aliens.
But before we begin, Tarvars, will you bring us into the Call for Truth?
Yes, and we encourage you all to join us in this call for the truth. Should we call forth the frequency of truth? Should we call to see the truth in all that we see? Should we call to hear the truth in all that we hear? Should we call to speak the truth, calling forth the courage to speak the truth? Should we call forth nothing less than the truth to come forward into our experience?
And thank you for bringing us into the truth. Did you have some announcements today?
Yeah, just again, if you want to continue rolling with us in the truth, stretching higher into elevation, click the like, the subscribe, and the bell notification. You can also join us every Thursday, 12 noon, for our live stream of the Sun Live and High Frequency Living with Diane of the Sun and Look Studio One on Wednesdays at 12 noon. And we are here. We are talking about aliens, but really this idea of accepting that the trajectory that we are moving into planetarily, or what some of the authoritative forces on the planet are attempting to herd humanity into, it doesn't feel human. It feels other. It feels very other. It feels very anti-life, not in support of life, not in support of women, not in support of families, community, oneness. Something's off, and I am of the mind, I mean, it's true, it's just this accepting that, okay, aliens been here, some off-world intelligences, interdimensional beings, and we don't necessarily need a disclosure for that. We can tell through the behavior, and if it's, I think sometimes it's a stretch for people because of how we've been conditioned to think of this, but I think ultimately it's some form of spiritual warfare for the battles of the minds, of the souls of people, our energy, and it has been like this for a long time. So, speaking of a long time, would you take us to the beginning with this? Where did humanity begin, or the planet begin, with this interfacing with off-world beings, or is that even the thing?
I'd like to bring forward the idea that we are so incongruent as a species. We're very incongruent in how we think about things. We believe in a Bible that tells us there are principalities that are not here on earth, that devils with horns and tails live in. There are other principalities that angels with wings live in. And there are other principalities that other creatures that were written about in the religious texts, the Old Testament and the New Testament, that there are other places. What do they say?
Where are those places at? That sounds like dimensions,
yes.
realms, parallel realities, all of that. That's
interdimensional beings, extragalactic, interstellar.
I think people need methylene blue. This is an advertisement, methylene blue for cognitive function, because it's right in our faces, but it's just
so
overlooked.
If you say, I heard there's aliens, someone will say, do you know Jesus? So
I think Jesus was alien.
Well, actually, there's a lot of conversation about the fact that that may be, in fact, the case, although that's not really what we're here to talk about. We're not really here to talk about the world religions, but the idea that all of the world religions point to beings from other places.
Before we go further, this word alien, it feels funny. You mentioned something about the time that we're in where they were pushing uh, I don't want to just say propaganda, but kind of edging on the idea of disclosure, where in mainstream news there's all these flying saucers and unidentified craft, and so it's like aliens, but then we got illegal aliens at the border, and so I feel like the language alien in and of itself is, it's kind of a misnomer. It's a little odd. Would you agree, or what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's imprecise, as our thinking is incongruent and imprecise. I think that saying the word alien could mean someone who's here from another country. It could mean someone who's here from another planet. It could mean someone who's coming across the southern border. And it could mean those mysterious vehicles that were over New Jersey for 2 months hovering over Air Force bases. It could mean all of that, and so it's a very imprecise way. It only lends itself more to the imprecision with which we have been cultivated to think in. That we're not thinking about what is it that we already accept and already believe in. Do you believe that the North Pole, where Santa Claus lives, is an interdimensional portalway?
Look, some people say that's the entrance to inner Earth. I don't know.
And is the entrance to inner Earth and another dimensional experience?
Could be. It's been hard for people to get there. It might be in the
But I
putting the
mean,
pieces together.
there's so many things that are part of our lexicon. That's part of the regular experience that don't make sense.
Yeah.
Rabbits don't lay eggs.
No, they don't. Damn, it's true.
You know,
Yeah, humans go hard with that. Eggs everywhere.
And so there's all of these incongruencies in our lexicon, whether you are in accord with them or whether you're just in the society that permits and allows such sloppy equations. What a sloppy equation that is.
I would say so.
Children like, where'd those eggs come from? That rabbit?
Like, make it make sense.
Yeah.
Just forcing understandings
And
together.
so the idea of the way in which, the imprecise way in which the language does not define what we're talking about. So, what we were going to talk about today was those things that enter into our reality, our awareness, that are outside of the officially agreed to things.
So could we?
Which would include Santa Claus.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are
This is
officially,
so
and the
funny.
devil and the angels, those are
Yeah.
all officially agreed to.
So could we lean into the idea of spiritual? Because I feel like it can be a lot more grounded if we are looking at it from the perspective of like spiritual / interdimensional versus like physical beings. Not that there aren't any, but it does have this feel that the influence is in the background. Like you said, it's outside of the preview or the awareness, but it has such profound impact on how we perceive reality.
It's hard to begin to know where to start when we consider that the Smithsonian Institute hid the bones of the giants for as long as it has existed.
Yeah.
And that they paid people to dig them up and then destroy them. That giants are a reality, but they're not clearly identified, because to make the Darwinian understanding of evolution fit, they had to destroy all the evidence, which is kind of like what happens with the Smithsonian now, that someone could go in and just say, erase that.
Yeah.
Erase that history. Like, erase the giants. We'll just hide the bones and pretend they don't exist. And we'll make sure that we gaslight anybody who says they've seen them. But how many other things have been like that? How many other artifacts, magical artifacts, or instruments of power have been moved or absconded with by the militaries of different countries so that they can gain power over and sovereignty over that particular thing? So we live in a world that's opposed to one another and in competition with one another, who are doing all the same things. So it is not as if Asia or Russia or the Middle East doesn't have artifacts of power from another time or from those who came off world. So we're, and of course, all the world religions agree that people came in flying ships off world. The Indians still have a lot of temples with, flying carpets and all kinds of off world accoutrement,
Yeah,
watches,
plenty.
purses.
Yeah, and carved in stone, these off-world beings have bags, handbags. Everybody got a handbag. They're saying it was like some type of breathing apparatus or something, or buried knowledge. They don't know for sure, but everybody had it. They had Apple Watches. They had tablets, laptops.
But we are being taught, well, just ignore all of India. But what about the dragons in Asia? Should we ignore all of the dragons in
You
Asia
know,
too?
from for I learned that at one point in time, dragons were not considered a mythical creature. They were like part of like the lexicon of, yeah, ox, the giraffe, the dragons. And
Yes.
but of course,
Your point.
my point is that
Yes, of course.
the
They are
Smithsonian,
real.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, but it was
Like
like
giants are real,
normal,
dragons
like
are real. Why do
like
you
Game of
think
Thrones normal.
why do you think every temple in the Far East has them on there? Because they were given to Disney myths.
No, so this is always what I
you
say
know?
that uh, I usually say this from the indigenous perspective that we drew and carved what we saw. And like you'll see them uh, carving images of agriculture and cattle, then you'll see some long humanoid being. Like, what is this? Like, or in this case, carvings of the dragons and the different I don't remember what those beings are called, but these different spiritual beings that they have in the East that are very much real.
Well, not only real, but there was a great pantheon, not only in ancient Greece, but in Asia, in the Far East, in the South America, of different types of beings doing different types of things, all which has been memorialized on all of the ancient structures.
So, would you say this is just an American thing, like a Western
No,
society thing, where we are our awareness of it because the country is so young, where it's not part of our lexicon? Maybe also that this is a predominantly Christian-based country.
yeah.
Even though in Christianity there's like Nephilim and giants in this and off-world beings saying, "I like them ladies down there. Let's go party." Like it's it's not looked at in the larger scope of like what we see in the East with India or Asia or even
Well,
South America for that matter.
it's not as if the people in those countries are fully engaged in that or that
Nah, but
they actually
them
believe in
temples
it.
still there though. Like the evidence
The
is what
evidence
I'm
is there
saying.
because they may not have figured out how to make it not be there.
It's like it's too much. Just make it a tourist attraction.
Yes. And let's seal up all the secret rooms and all the secret data that the governments themselves have. There's so many examples of that happening. I think it's more this idea of the masculine, the divine masculine, and the divine feminine in its in the two polarities that were split, where we live in a world where on one part of the planet we can say we don't believe in anything we can't see, and then we're like, but can you see that? Can you see that temple? See
Hmm.
that pyramid? See that dragon? And they're
This,
like, yes, but I don't see it alive. And so, so now we're getting into,
yeah, it's like, yeah, it's
now you're
silly.
quibbling, and now you're, so I think it has more to do with, I refuse to see that which I cannot command.
That's a whole nother story.
I
Yeah,
refuse
that's
to be in agreement with the fact that you may be able to move a ghost because I can't see it and I can't do it. So I don't believe that it exists.
yeah.
Or I refuse to believe that it's possible for people to be affected by others who have more mental capacity.
You know what? That's why people need methylene blue for cognition. There was, well, of course, you know this, but what's coming to mind is there was once upon a time where we could not see bacteria that was killing us, and a certain demographic of people did not believe that that was such a thing. And many people were dying due to poor hygiene until the awareness of what could not be seen was then seen through microscopes. So it's, I think it's more of the same thing where like
Yeah.
just because you can't see it don't mean it's not there.
Well, and the indigenous, any medicine woman always knew that the nail clippings in the hair would tell you what the DNA had in it.
Wow.
You didn't have to wait for the television program,
Yeah.
CSI, to know
Yeah.
that that same intelligence told them how to stay alive. Humans would not exist as in the groups that we exist in now were those things not already known. Some of those circumstances where people died in great plagues were interference with humanity from various sources. It was not the natural course of things, because in the natural course of things survive.
Every financial crisis has one winner. It's not crypto, it's not stocks, it's not real estate, it's gold. In every financial crisis, there's one asset that always comes out on top. Not because it skyrockets overnight, but because it never dies. Stocks crash, currencies collapse, property markets freeze, but gold, it keeps buying the same value as it did 100 years ago. Look at history. 1929, 1971, 2008. The people holding gold weren't panicking, they were shopping. They had liquidity when everyone else was broke. The winner in a crisis isn't the one with the most cash. It's the one holding what cash runs to when it's scared. When the next crisis hits, you'll either watch your savings melt or you'll be the one buying gold at a discount.
Even after a flood, things survive. But even the flood was an interference, and it says so in all of the historical books and all
Yeah,
of
that
the.
looks like a hell of an interference.
But so was the Black Death. It was
Yeah.
an interference too. So all these great catastrophic things were interference patterns that were brought in through a variety of different purposes and ways by different beings here and abroad. And then, of course, the world religions did many things, like killed 1 million women and said they were witches. But they killed the ones who knew how to heal people.
Mm-hmm.
They killed the ones who knew how herbs worked. They killed the ones that they wanted the knowledge of, so they got the knowledge from them before they. And then, then doctors began to have medicine after all the people they said were doing something bad were dead. Then they had documented all of the things they knew how to cure, and they used it that way. So there are many huge things that have happened. Millions of people died. Great wars have taken place. Plagues, all through interference patterns.
I want to take it back a little bit, and you kind of touched on it when you were speaking about the experience with women on the planet through the lens of religion and the medical system. Shout out to Rockefeller, Rothschild. All right. So one of the things that I saw when you were saying the rift between masculine and feminine, and right now in our current time, we see an intensifying of we'll call it battle of the sexes or gender, where male and female are being pitted against each other, and it's pretty wild. And then we also see the distortion of gender as well, where it's these behaviors that really go against the idea of sustainability for our species. Like literally, it goes against it, and I can see lots of social engineering that's taking place. Where this is what I meant by there's like a background broadcast, that aspect that they say, oh, I can't see it, so it ain't real. Well, you can't see it, but there's a broadcast coming in that influences the behavior that unless you are astute, you will likely be influenced to go with the wave. And so this aspect of what has happened with women over the years, it's been really intriguing to me, because I'm like, damn, like, don't you see, like, either way we look at it, whether you're suppressing women or you're suppressing men, like, both parties are needed. That looks very anti-human. That looks like humans wouldn't do that. When we look in nature, other species in nature aren't angry like that with the other sex. Now they got their things going on. I know in some with some animals, like they'll create together and then go their separate ways, and
Yeah, but
you know,
that's
but
not necessarily a bad thing.
yeah, but it's almost as if we're trying to extinguish each other and talking about
Oh,
living reality without. I learned this new term. Let's see if I can say it right. So there is misogynistic, um, which is the male version of the hatred of women and suppression and domination and control of women, where men think they're better. And I think it's misandrous. I think that's the female version of it. Women who think they're better than men, more capable, and like would rather live without them. It's really odd because like how would you exist? Maybe this generation, maybe this lifetime, but what comes after? So it's almost like um, whatever that broadcast is only has us thinking of what's here right now, nothing in terms of the future.
yeah, it's what comes to mind is the how it remains true that we like convenience. We like things to happen easily, and we like them to happen quickly. So we don't think, and I think you'll be able to see this, that we don't think
Oh, I see it
of
already. Squeeze my lemons because I don't
we
want to.
don't think of humanity as us. So we
Yeah,
don't think of the love of humanity and the future of humanity.
that's another great example. That's not human-like.
We don't think of children and great grandchildren and the children that come after and their clarity. We only think of what we can gain through consumption of energy, power, wealth, and immediacy. What can we get? How many likes can we get right this minute? How many clicks can we get right now? What can I say that will rile up all the men or all the women to be on my side right this second? And whatever happens to everybody else, so be it.
Yeah,
So that humanity, being a human is something that has lost understanding. The idea of human, that we are the only, and this is, I have gotten this from my own guidance, that we are the only physical humanoid species that kills each other. Other people kill the ones who come after them, or the ones trying to take over their planets, or the ones who are trying to hurt them, or not their own. We don't have that. We've been separated into so many bits and pieces. We don't have that sense of, you are my children, you are my family, you are my people, you are my tribe, you are humans. We don't have that part.
yeah,
And the part where we don't care, that feels to me like the alien aspect that you brought forward.
yeah.
The alien aspect of, it doesn't matter, kill them all, let God sort it out.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Alien God, off-world God,
yeah, what
Sky Daddy.
D, all of the above, like absolutely wherever that influence is coming from, it's not made from this planet, Mother Earth, and that sun that's ours.
Yeah,
It is
because
not that.
my mama Earth and my father Sun
That's right.
function very different than what
Yes.
I have seen in terms of our behaviors, as though we've been separated from our parents, and we
Yes.
got some evil step parents who are here, and we've
Yes.
taken on their parasitic traits.
Yes.
And how do we shake this off, LaOta? How do we get that?
We have to know that there is no that we are not safe from the influence of what happens with that level of thinking, because our DNA continues. Anymore, we're not safe from what happened to our great 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 grandparents. It's still in us.
Yeah,
We are the seed that our future is in. So what happens next is us being in that dynamic, whether it's positive or negative. So if we could see that far, we would know that because we're eternal, we continue to exist. We exist through our lineage, we exist through humanity, through our species, that it would be in our best interest to stand up and to stop that which separates us and makes us think that it's fine to kill everybody for the power that that will bring to us through war or whatever the other means are, through medicine, through stunting of education, through whatever that is. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense.
So it's this idea of being aware that we are one whole thing. We are the tree, we are Mother Earth, we are the person we're looking at. We are our lover, and we are the one that we decided not to have as our lover. But that's our species. And it's, unless we want to not exist, turn into something other than what we are, be less than human,
Transhuman.
we will have or insect.
Yeah.
We may have to fight for the humanness. We may have to speak up. We may have to move forward. We may have to, as my allies have, who are interdimensional, have said to me, we want to be on the right side of this war. We're with you. We need to be on the right side of this war. We need to be with humans. We need to be with humanity. We need to be with wholeness. We need to know we're one. That's the only way. We cannot fragment ourselves into wholeness. You know?
Yeah, that don't work.
We can't kill ourselves into being alive. We can't bomb ourselves into being civilized. It's just not possible.
Yes. Again, sounds like some alien, foreign thought form that goes against the blueprint of our design. But these are some great solutions. They seem very practical. It does require levels of maturity. I see it requires levels of getting over yourself in certain ways, and any biases that we have, and preconditioning thoughts to stretch to see that truth. It's really feeling like grow up humanity.
Yes,
And take a parasite cleanse.
all the separation that we see is just an illusion that we have been taught by someone who does not love us.
Yeah.
They do not love us, and we don't love ourselves. We did an earlier podcast about withholding love. This is an example of humanity withholding love from humanity. If we're not careful, we will extinguish ourselves.
That's deep.
It's the truth. I'm wondering what the cards will say about that today.
Let's see. What does the card say? And card for the Truth Divination card pouch is blue, like methylene. Today's sponsor is methylene blue.
We will have to ask for it.
All right. Yeah, they're not our sponsors, but they're good. All right. So, asking the cards to share with us the truth that we must see pertaining to off-world interference within human affairs.
And the card is
evolution. Heart chakra. There's always more of you to work with. There is always more to see, more ways to grow, and more to do. Evolution is continuous. So one of the things that comes to mind is, we were in light body, and we're speaking about this dimensional shift that's happening, the planetary shift. And it's funny because even though many people say 4D, 5D, like the potentiality is beyond that. But anywho, but the natural progression is move out of the third dimensional space, get into the fourth dimensional space, where that wholeness that you were speaking about, that oneness, being able to see yourself in the other, being able to recognize compassion and love is needed for yourself. Learn how to love you so you can love others. And it sounds so cheesy. We were talking about this last night in Quantum Light Property Clearing class, and the idea of the power of love, and how it sounds so cliche because we don't see the truth of it within the human experience, but most truths are cliche because it's rooted deeply within the fabric of reality, but we've been just so removed from it, and where it just kind of sounds like, yeah, that sounds good, but ...
It sounds cliche because it's shallow in the face of humans. We don't know what love is. If we did, the planet would not be in the condition it's in.
That's right. You clean your room, humanity.
It's true. It's like if it sounds cliche, and at the third dimensional level, it doesn't adhere.
Yeah.
But when we think about, when you turn the question to self, this is where you can get traction. Do I love myself? Are my actions showing that I love myself? And is my reality reflecting that I love myself? So I would gather that most humans would find that their reality is not reflecting that they love themselves. And that's a starting point. Work on you. Love you. You just work on you. Don't worry about what anybody else is doing. You just keep your face to you. You work on loving you enough that then you have something that you can add to the pot. And see
Message.
where that gets, and see where that, takes you. Where does that carry you to a more distant place where love of humanity, love of species, love of planet, love of life, love of source comes in?
Yeah.
It sounds banal, this idea, oh, love everybody. Oh, I have, love that extends beyond anybody.
You're like, get that out of here.
It's like, let me see you loving you like that. Let's see you love you like that. Then you can join on to others who love themselves, and then you love everyone.
I think that's such a great point to leave us at, because these concepts are so big and vast, and oftentimes because the solution seems cliche, again, as you say, the shallowness, we're thinking in our minds, well, how can this help that? But start with what's in front of you, as you say. I think that's a great solution, and like, you get to prove it to yourself.
What option do we have?
None, because it's law. It's like, unless you want to go against law and hurt yourself and suffer.
Yeah, there's really no other place to start but with self. It's just not. It's not possible to begin where you are not already.
Yeah. It's like, got you thinking, right? Like, ooh. She's like, wait, say that again, run that back. Go back 10 seconds in the video. Hear that again.
So we thank you for joining us. We hope that you have enjoyed this discussion about the many ways in which to envision aliens. And we hope we will see you again in Lakesh and Veritas with honor, respect, and gratitude. Thank you.